This week, we are plunging you into the chaotic and exhilarating heart of the world's busiest railway. 8 million passengers use these trains each day, packed in more tightly than anywhere else on the planet. Welcome to India. We are in the heart of Mumbai. We're standing in front of one of the most famous stations in the world, the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, known affectionately by the locals as CST.
This really is a station running to the limits of what's possible. This time, we go behind the scenes of this incredible station to see how the railway staff juggle the huge numbers of passengers, the daily problems, and, of course, those inevitable delays. Here's what's coming up.
Over 4 programmes, we're revealing the organisational wonders of this supersized transport operation.
Whoa!
Tonight, we'll show you the side of the station passengers don't get to see. We witness a crisis in the control room and discover the secret station workers who only come out at night. Robert's unpacking the feats of engineering that keep this place on track. Tonight, he visits a city-sized repair depot.
Everywhere you look, there's someone under a train, on a train, in a train. It's just extraordinary.
Anita's checking out what life's like for Mumbai's commuters.
Now that is a unique experience. Yes, of course.
Tonight, she heads onto the roads of this crowded city.
Is this a new road?
This is a new road. See this condition.
This is the worst new road.
See, this is a new road.
And John Sargent continues his exploration of the history of Indian railways. He discovers how a silver ball keeps passengers safe.
Ah, we've got it.
Welcome to the world's busiest railway. Mumbai is India's economic powerhouse, and this station, CST, is the engine that drives it, bringing commuters from the northern suburbs down to the southern business district to work.
This station runs passenger trains 365 days a year, 21 hours a day. And for 6 of those hours during the morning and evening peak periods, the trains are so packed, they've come up with a descriptive term for it. It's called super dense crush load, and it's very apt. When you're on one of those trains, it really does feel like the air is being crushed out of your body.
And the reason it's so busy, well, it's a numbers game. Mumbai grew incredibly fast as a city, and now more than 8 million journeys are made on this rail network every working day.
And the railways are desperately trying to keep up with those figures. They've scheduled more trains, they've made every train a third longer, and they are still trying to increase that capacity even more.
The trouble is, there's so little room for manoeuvre. The controllers who are responsible for getting these trains in and out of these stations in the morning and the evening desperately juggle the schedule and space to try and ensure they don't risk making hundreds of thousands of commuters very angry indeed.
Between 5 and 8 o'clock at night, all Mumbai's 5.5 million rail commuters care about is getting home. The station is hot and very crowded. Passengers are tired and need their trains to be on time. We sent our cameras up into the nerve centre of the station, the control room, just as rush hour was gearing up one evening, to see how the controllers deal with this high-pressure part of the day. Our guide is section controller Sachin Katika.
It's a very big responsibility we're having on our shoulder. We have to take the decision very cool and calmly. We are doing our best and hoping for the best.
It's coming up to 5 o'clock. Trains are running just 40 seconds apart. And at the moment, the control team are responsible for more than 60 trains on the lines in and out of the station. There's so much traffic that the controllers must rely on a computerized system to tell them where every train is. This enormous board is a live map of the tracks across 53 kilometers of Greater Mumbai.
The red dots indicates that the train is occupying the platform. See, okay, there's a one train on platform 15. And the red dots which are moving right now, it shows that a train is moving.
But when something goes wrong, it's down to the skills of the controller to put it right. So far, everything is running smoothly. Trains are arriving and departing on time. But almost 50,000 people are moving through the station when controllers learn of a problem that could bring the whole system to a grinding halt.
वो 321B मोटर कोच से अंडर गियर स्मोक आया था 27/4 पे बिफोर बांडू प्लेटफॉर्म.
There's a broken down train sitting on the tracks, blocking the high-speed route into Mumbai, and services are stacking up behind it. These are the trains that commuters are waiting for at the station. If they can't get into CST, then the whole evening schedule will be delayed. This could spell disaster for tonight's rush hour. The controllers need to act quickly and find a way to get trains into the station.
If the train has been delayed for 10 to 15 minutes, you know, all the things goes up. It's the evening peak and lots of passengers waiting for the train. So if any train get delayed, then it's not good thing for the, you know, we are serving for the people of India.
Chief Controller for Suburban Punctuality, Akhilesh Prasad, and his team rely on their intimate knowledge of the complex mesh of tracks to work out a diversion route.
ये अब तो का वो क्लियर हुआ नहीं है. शंकर 36 विद्या विहार को बोलो जाने देने के लिए गाड़ी. शंकर 36 बाद में घुमाएगा वो अंबरनाथ साइड को. शंकर 30 हाँ दिया.
Karjat 36, the first train behind the blockage, is the priority. It's diverted onto a parallel line and back onto its original route at Vidya Vihar station. The remaining block trains are also sent this way.
वो 8 गाड़ी घुमाया ना तुमने? अरे क्लियर हो रहा है कि नहीं? हाँ.
We are diverting that trains and we are cancelling some locals so that to maintain the punctuality of peak.
But this is only a temporary fix. The train with the suspected fire on board is still blocking the line.
टाइम विक्रोली से लोकल लाइन में घुमाया.
It's a small incident with the potential to have a big impact. If controllers don't get the train off the line and the flow of traffic back to normal, Mumbai's commuters will face long delays.
अंबरनाथ 48 जो आया था, तो डाउन लोकल कितने बजे क्लियर किया था?
It takes 40 minutes to get the damaged train off the main line and into a siding. An event like this could have brought CST to a standstill, but the quick-thinking controllers have averted disaster.
Here it was. This is a section, Vikhroli, where it was delayed. And now it is moving.
Now the line is clear, trains can revert to their pre-planned routes. And the flow of trains into and back out of CST can run on schedule. On the platforms, passengers are unaware that the controllers have ensured they all get home on time tonight. The control team breathe a sigh of relief.
It's quite under control and everything has been manageable and punctuality is up to the mark and there is no delay so far. Everything is under control.
Rush hour is back on track.
So the man in charge of the control room is the Senior Divisional Operations Manager, KN Singh. Now, Mr. Singh, from an outsider's point of view, it does look like you're working absolutely at the limit of what is possible here. Just,
absolutely.
Would that be a fair assessment of it?
A fair assessment, yes. And peak hours, we are running with 100% capacity. There are hardly any chance to add anything or to delete anything. And there's no chance of any error.
Right. And everyone that works here knows they've got to get the train there on time.
Everyone, all my technical team as well as those who are manning the team, they all are absolutely working for a system to run for the 100% punctuality.
So what are your punctuality rates here?
We are hovering around 90%. 90% punctuality we are maintaining. But in peak hours, that is the morning and evening peak, we do achieve 95+% of punctuality.
That's pretty amazing with the amount of trains that are coming in. It's extraordinary. Yeah.
But we are trying to achieve 100%.
Right.
A train must run on time with the kind of advancement and signal and the rakes and the train
Right.
and all things. I mean,
In that film, we saw a train that had actually broken down on one of the tracks coming into the station, which clearly caused a bit of a problem. I mean, what other problems do you face on a daily basis?
In such a big system, we have various types of failures, like failures in train itself, which you saw. There can be failure in overhead equipment, there can be failure in track, there can be failure of signals.
Right.
So there are various types of failure which can happen.
Because that's certainly something we do here in the UK is, you know, signal failure. You're sitting on a train and it's not moving and you're going, oh, there's a signal failure. But what is signal failure?
I mean, signal failure is a generic term for a lot of failures related with the signals. Like
Right.
many times signal can go wrong, it can just go off. There can be failures in the points which will not be able to divert train from one line to another, for platform one to another, and those things. There
So
can
that could be
be
a signal failure as well if
there
the points
can
aren't
be,
changing.
There are a lot of reasons for that. I mean,
Yeah.
there can be failure in the circuitry itself. There can be failure in the cable. I mean, sometimes people may theft take place and they take out the cables.
Because you've got a lot of wires joined to a lot of track
a lot
that
of
goes
wires,
to a
lot
lot
of joints going to
Yeah.
the point.
Yes.
So,
So what is the kind of rate then of failures on a day, on a sort of average day? How many failures do you get like that?
it used to, earlier it used to happen a lot, but now we have control our signal failure at a large extent. But yes, still it is around 5 to 6 failures a day in an entire system.
Right.
In a Mumbai suburban system, which still is a cause of concern, and we are trying to control it also. We have at all cabins, we have kept our specialized man who can fix the signal very fast.
So if there's someone actually goes out, physically fixes it on the track?
If there are any problem, our man can set right within few minutes.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, thank you.
It's early afternoon at the station. A brief lull between the intensity of the morning and evening rush hours. But for one group of people, the pressure's always on. 140 drivers, known as motormen around here, are on shift today. Driving is a responsible and stressful job, getting crowded trains safely in and out of the station. It's made more difficult by the behaviour of passengers who frequently cross and walk on the lines. This is an unavoidable hazard for drivers. By the time they see someone on the track, it's too late to stop. 9 people a day across Mumbai are killed when they're hit by trains. And the motormen are at the sharp end of those figures. We went on board with one to take in the view from the cab and find out how he feels about his job.
My name is Sabu Anthony. I'm working for Central Railway as a motorman. I've been working for the railways now for the past 24 years. I like being a motorman because it is a very responsible job. We have to be at the other end of the platform before the train comes. We have 2 sets of keys, so once we operate that, we have to check the warning system and the brake system. This is one of the emergency brakes which you have to test. Okay, we are ready to start. Driving a train, it is much harder than it looks. You see, it is very easy because that person is just sitting and moving the handle from here to there. But it takes a lot on you as a mentally and physically doing the same thing again and again and again. The motorman has to have a very good concentration. He has to have a very tough mind. And the third thing is he has to be very patient. We are slowing down because we are going to stop at the next station. During the peak hours, we take more precautions because the trains are all getting jam-packed. We are late by 1 minute. We started 2 minutes late, so now we are 1 minute late. We have made up 1 minute. This train has a maximum speed of 100 kmph. We are used to driving at that speed. So you just concentrate on your job. Because even a small lapse of concentration can cost you very badly. As a motorman, we used to get nervous when anybody walks on the track. Now it's like we are used to it, people walking on the tracks. Only thing we have to do is keep on whistling out for them to warn them. Trespassers are run over. There have been many suicide cases also. It has happened many a times to me. In this 12 years, you can say about 25 to 30 cases. Everybody wants to avoid that. If you are on a high speed and if the trespasser is quite close to your train, you feel your heart beats a bit more higher because you are trying to save him and drive the train also. If it is possible, we try our best by applying the emergency brake. Other than that, we cannot do anything. We are going to reach a last station, Thana. We'll be going to Thana platform number 1. We are on time. Once you do your job correctly without any incident and without any delay, you feel very satisfied that I have done my job properly.
Sabu and his colleagues are under pressure every hour of the day. Although stress levels rise during rush hour when there's no wiggle room in the schedule. But they do have a place where they can relax. And Anita's got special permission to take us inside.
We're leaving the concourse and entering a restricted area. This is where Sabu would hang out before he'd begin his shift to drive the train. It says quite clearly here, outsiders entry strictly prohibited. We are going in for one time only to the motorman's lobby. This is where the drivers hang out. Follow me. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, hello. So the first thing a driver would do is clock in. And the way he would do that is to sign the register. Thank you. Here's the register. This is where he says, I'm here, ready for duty. Second thing that happens, very important, is the breathalyzer test. And they mustn't have had a drop of alcohol for at least 8 hours. Then they come over to this area. This is the nerve center. Right here on the screen, they are being fed information from the control room about live train departures. What trains are coming in, what platforms they're going to, what trains are going out, so they can pick up all that information. Then they make a trip to something that's ubiquitous all over India. You have them in homes, you have them in your car. It is, of course, the all-important shrine. And here we have a Hindu temple with a selection of gods that you can pray to bless you before you begin your day's work. Very important. The next thing they will do is come to these blue files. These blue files tell them what engineering works are taking place. So they will know where the delays will be, and then they can have a chill out. This is their social area. Let's have a peek. So you may have noticed there are quite a lot of men in here. That's because there are 733 motor men and 1 motor woman. I can't imagine that she spends much time in here. This is a very well-respected job. They get paid 7 times more than the national average salary, and they have to train for 13 years. That includes on-the-job experience. Compare that to a train driver in the UK who has to train for 2 years. In here, you also have notice boards. These are telling them all about their union meetings. Oh, we do have some women in here, very official-looking women. Hello, ladies. Up there, you have the canteen. Up here, you have their lockers. And then they wait. They wait until their shift begins. It's a 6-hour shift, which will consist of 1 long journey, 1 shorter journey. The trains run for 21 hours, so if they're on a very early shift, there is a dormitory where they can have a nap. These chaps work incredibly hard, but then so do the carriages. They do 500 kilometres every day, so after every 18 months, they have a complete overhaul.
10 kilometres north of the station is the Matunga workshop. Over 7,000 people work at this 86-acre site, inspecting and repairing carriages.
It's so amazingly huge here. It's just vast. I've seen barely any of it. Everywhere you look, there's someone under a train, on a train, in a train, taking something out of a train, putting something in a train. It's just extraordinary.
They overhaul more than 3,000 coaches here every year. In charge of this mammoth undertaking is Chief Mechanical Engineer Amit Sarawastri.
So, Amit, how many coaches are in here at one time? There's so many.
At any point of time, we have around some 200 odd coaches.
And so how old are the coaches that you're looking after here?
Coaches' life varies from around, say, 2 years to 25 years.
Oh, I see. So some of them are could be quite new. You'd still check them to be sure.
Yeah.
So you're checking everything on the coach, the brakes, the wheels, the bearings, the seats. It seems to be everything you do.
Absolutely. We can't take a chance.
Why do they need to be checked every 18 months? It seems like a lot of checking.
In every train, around 1,000 persons are traveling. So to ensure the safety of every person, it is mandatory to have these safety checks.
As soon as a carriage arrives, it gets stripped of its wheels.
There it goes. It's going up. It actually looks remarkably simple. Just a massive crane with great big hooks that lifts the whole thing up in the air. I've been around a few engineering works. This is one of the most extreme. It's pretty impressive.
The wheel units, known as bogies, are wheeled out of the way for a separate inspection. Because these are the only parts of the train that touch the track, they are the most likely elements to cause an accident.
Wow. So this is, oh my God, this is where all the wheels are sorted out. Is that right? Wow, it's huge.
Each wheel is removed from the bogie before being spun on a lathe to make sure it's perfectly round. But one of the most crucial jobs is carried out by hand.
Ah, so what have we got here, Amit?
This guy is inspecting the bearing.
Right. So so can you tell me what is a bearing, basically? I mean, that is a bearing, but what's its job?
The bearing is a very important part of the wheel assembly. It helps the wheel to rotate.
And all these small wheels do is allow it to spin round with less friction and less...
Yeah. This part rotates along with the wheel. These guys, whatever who are inspecting the bearing here, they are inspecting very thoroughly, checking all the rollers one by one. There shouldn't be any crack here.
What do you do then if there is a very small crack in some
Even if a small crack is there, the bearing is rejected.
Right, so the whole thing goes, you don't use it anymore?
Yeah, we don't take even 1% chance.
Right. So what's the condition of this particular bearing, Amit? Is this one all right?
Let me see. I think he's scratching. Yeah, no. This particular roller has gone. This roller flaking is there.
So there's a tiny crack in that, which you can barely see. It's not a big crack.
Yeah.
So what would happen if you didn't replace this then? What could go wrong?
It can lead to bearing failure, a lot of heat generation.
Right. So it still keeps spinning because the train is heavy.
It keeps on rotating, It keeps on rotating, it generates high temperature, and it can cause fire also.
Right.
The fire in a moving train.
It's not a good thing.
That's why this bearing inspection is a very, very important task.
After the wheels, it's the bodywork that needs attention. And the method here is surprisingly low-tech.
I'll have a go. Sounds good, yeah? Might sound like they're just making music on a train carriage, but what they're actually doing is they're listening to the sound the tap makes. That sounds very, very solid. So they can tell if it's got corrosion, if it's got holes. They're checking for rust holes and damage like that, and then they mark it with a bit of chalk so that the repair team come in and mend it, basically. Right, that's a very good example. That's not good, not good. Yeah, so here there's some actual corrosion, and they found it, they've marked it off with chalk, so this has got to be repaired. This is the problem. So that has definitely got some... Sorry. Yeah, that's all right there, it's here. It's not, yeah, very bad.
Heavily corroded areas like this one have new steel plates welded into place to extend the life of the carriage. And the reconditioned bogies are locked back into place. Structural integrity sorted, it's time to move on to some cosmetic improvements. The interiors of the carriages are inspected for wear and tear. Any seats that are worn or torn get reupholstered.
There's quite a few seats here.
The team here can recover 400 seats a day. First, they strip them and repad them before newly sewn covers are glued on.
Don't want to mess this up. That's really nice. Believe it or not, I've used these machines before.
I used to be a shoemaker, so I'm hoping the same principles apply here.
Oh, I've gone off. I thought I'd be better than this. Now, round the corner is so hard. Oh, Lord. How do you do that? That's a little gap there. OK, that's a mistake. All right, I admit that. I admit that that's bad. OK, but this bit, look, let me just show you this bit. That bit there, that's not too bad.
Once the new seats are in, the final step is a coat of paint. It takes a total of 5 days to paint each carriage, and everything is done by hand.
It is extraordinary that there's actual people painting the trains with brushes. I guess I assumed spray guns in the paint shop, but no, it's done by brush. Even the fine stuff, that's amazing.
As soon as the paint's dry, the carriage is ready to go back into service. The final step is a stencil to say its service is complete.
That place looked fantastic. In fact, Robert, I was particularly jealous of you getting those mallets and whacking the side of those trains.
It is always fun smashing stuff with a big hammer, I have to say, yeah.
But it's also fun coming up here, great bird's eye view of the whole of CST. Absolutely, wait, it's vast.
It is. Well, it's over 70 acres in total, the total site. And just to give us some idea of our location, that over there is the dome that's right at the front of the old station. And in front of that, right in front of us there, is the 7 suburban platforms.
And then over there, so I guess you can see just beyond those blue trains there,
Yeah.
those are the intercity, those are the long-distance platforms. They are for the trains that are going to go right the way across India. And they are particularly long, those ones. Yeah. One of those platforms is over half a kilometre long. And to give you a sense of the scale compared to the UK, a train in the UK going from between, say, Manchester and London might be about 11 carriages. One of those trains could be up to 26 carriages in length. So it just dwarfs stuff in the UK, really.
And as a passenger, of course, you don't see all of this. I mean, we're getting a real privileged view up here. As a passenger, you just come in and out of the station. But over there are maintenance yards where all the locomotives are kind of given a locomotive MOT. And then there's another load of sidings beyond that with all the spare carriages in for those enormous long trains.
It's funny, we just glimpse that out the window of a train as you pass. But I mean, it's like an iceberg. There's so much hidden under the surface, so much required in terms of support and logistics to keep this going.
Yeah, well, it's a complex system, I think, for one very good reason, and that is for safety, just to stop trains bashing into each other, which I think, on the whole, is a good idea.
Yeah, that is not a good thing when they hit each other. But, of course, it's over the years, it's those crashes and the response to them that's given us our modern safety systems. We've made incremental improvements, we've introduced new technology, and that's how, round the world, we've managed to get railways running pretty safely nowadays. But in some parts of India, what's fascinating, some parts of rural India, those historic safety systems have been frozen in time. And John Sargent's been exploring some of them to see them in action.
2 trains on the same track, and there's only one possible outcome. Disaster. This stunt was staged in America in 1913. But in the early days of rail travel, serious accidents like this were all too common. This one in northern India killed 20 people. At many country stations, local trains use a single track. And more than 100 years ago, a British engineer based in India, a Mr. Neil, perfected a system to make sure that only one train was on the track at any given moment. Amazingly, the old system is still being used at this station. I'm in Palestare, 70 kilometres east of Mumbai. This quiet rural line runs to the village of Kopali. And to ensure there's only ever one train on the line, they have what's called a token system. It relies on the transfer of a tiny silver ball. Oh, we've got... Right, so the ball has now come through, right? This silver ball is a permit to travel on the line. Any driver coming through this station needs to have it in his possession before leaving. Right, we have the ball. Now we take the ball to the driver. Right, we've got the ball. Normally, the station master would do this, but I'm having a go. We have to put the ball... You have to put the ball in the bag. Okay. Right. Let's like a bit to the driver. Thank you. Safe journey. With the ball safely on board, the driver is allowed to set off. The machine only issues one ball at a time and then locks shut. It also sends a signal to its partner machine at Kopali station, telling it that the line is busy. No more balls can now be removed from either machine, which means that no further trains can enter the track. It's a guarantee of safety for everyone on board. Now, I know that this train will not collide with another train going in the opposite direction because the driver has that metal ball. This particular system was invented by Mr. Neil and is still called Neil's token system. At one time, it was being used on more than 10,000 kilometers of the Indian rail network. This is one of the very last lines to use it, carrying thousands of passengers each day. Now I've reached Kopali station. I need to get the ball back into the system so that the next train is allowed to travel. Right, so we've got the pouch. Yeah? Okay, off we go. Hello. Right, well, we brought the ball, and we're going to put it in the machine.
Yes. Put it on the tub.
Under there?
Yeah.
Okay. With the ball back in the machine, the system unlocks. The line is clear and ready for the next train. Done. Token systems like this were only ever suitable for sections of single track. They were installed in the early and less complicated days of rail travel. When there were many more trains on different lines and being moved into sidings, they needed a more sophisticated system to make sure the trains ended up in the right place. The answer was to lock together points, which set the route a train takes, with the signals, which tell the driver it's safe to proceed. Here at Lonavala Freight Yard, 80 kilometers from Mumbai, they're still using a system that in the 1860s was at the cutting edge of railway technology. Chief Yardmaster Mr. Deshpande shows me how it works. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Now, this looks terrific. And this is all mechanical?
Yes.
This lever bed controls 48 different points and signals across the yard. So when the lever is pulled there, these rods will then move here, is that right?
Yes.
And that will change the points?
Yes, yes.
Right, so ask him to pull the lever. Let's just see what happens. Okay. Pulling this lever moves a series of metal rods stretching over 100 meters to change the points. Each lever has a number, There are set routes, and the team here know the numbers that correspond to each of them. So what have we got to do? We've got a freight train is going to come out?
Yes, it is ready. Karad Basin empty, ready for dispatch to Karjat. Now we are going to signal it.
So what are we doing? I'm setting the route for a freight train to join the main line to Mumbai. Pull that one, yeah? Okay.
With both hands, both hands.
Both hands, right? It's heavy, isn't it? Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, it is
We've pulled
correctly
across.
set now.
Okay, what else do we need to pull? Now pull that, right? Pull that first.
Mind your
Whoops.
fingers,
Okay. The points are set, but to tell the driver he can proceed, now I need to set the signals. But now what about the signal, right?
Yes.
Okay, where's that?
Signal.
39.
39, okay, right. Yeah. Oh, well, that's much easier, isn't it?
Long
Yeah,
bar
okay.
is easier.
Pulling this lever operates an electrical switch that changes the signal lights.
Second signal, S2, 27.
27, right, okay.
If anybody try to put the point back after
Yes.
lowering the signal to particular train, it will not go. You just try.
Okay. I can't because
Yes.
it's locked.
Yes, that is called as interlocking.
Interlocking.
Yes.
And that is for safety.
Yes.
Interlocking describes the way the levers are mechanically connected. It's physically impossible to pull the wrong lever. Two trains cannot be sent onto the same section of line. Over the years, thousands of lives have been saved as a result. So in the yards, the trains aren't moving very fast.
Yes. That
And
is why
there aren't many of them. So you can still use the trusty old system.
Yes. It is very safe.
Yes, no, I can see it's very safe. Watching these systems in operation is like stepping back in time. But surprisingly, the principles behind this old technology are still just as relevant today in modern stations.
At CST in Mumbai, you won't find any lever rooms. They've been replaced by automated electrical switches. But these do the same jobs as the levers in Lonavala, guaranteeing a clear route for each train through the station. It's just before 3 p.m. Although the pressure's temporarily off, the smooth running of this place relies on thousands of well-rehearsed routines. One staff swap-over's been designed to make sure that trains can get in and out in under 4 minutes. Robert and I are seeing how it works.
So we're making our final approach now into Mumbai CST. Driver Sajit here is at the controls. Now, I wanted to show you the really time-dependent activity that goes on here. This is really important to get these trains in and out as quickly as possible. Now, this is one of the standard electric trains, one on the suburban line. And there is obviously a driver's cab at the front, as you'd expect, and there's a guard's van at the back, if you want to call it that. But because the trains can't turn around, because this is a dead-end station, all they do is they swap over. The guard comes in here, and the driver goes up to the other end. So now we're nearly coming to a stop. I don't know how he does that. That is brilliant. That's really hard to do that. Beautifully done. Well done. Excellent. So that's it. Now, Dan is up the other end of the platform.
Yes, here I am at what was the back of the train. The guard's just getting out now, and I'm just waiting for the driver, who is coming up the platform now.
So now all that happens, the train stopped, everything's turned off, takes the keys out of the ignition, just like in your car, and no one can nick it. He's got the keys, they can't run off with it.
Hello, sir. Good to see you. So the guard's just jumped out. This is the new driver arriving now. He's going to get in, he's going to do some checks, get his logbook out, turn a couple of switches, change the destination on the front of the train, make sure the headlights are working, and then he's good to go. Just wait for that signal until it goes yellow and he's good to go.
Oh, well, the guard has just arrived now, so the guard is now going to go through his basic safety checks. Just checking everything. He's getting everything nice for himself. There we go. Yep, basic safety checks. So what he will do at some point is communicate with the driver, and he will stay in communication with the driver for the whole journey. It's all part of the whole safety procedure of the train. And they're off.
nothing too technologically advanced about that process, just well-trained people being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And off they go. Not too busy, it's the middle of the day. As we saw earlier, these trains during rush hour can get incredibly busy. But that's not a problem that's unique to Mumbai Railways. The road system too here is very overstretched.
Mumbai's traffic problems are notorious. There are more than 700,000 cars on the roads. Add into that more than 2 million public buses, rickshaws and motorbikes, and you've got a transport nightmare. To see quite how bad things are on the roads, I'm making a 16-kilometre journey from the suburb of Kurla to CST.
OK, I'm crossing the road. Hello. Right, I'm on it. We're doing it. Oh, my. OK, stop. We're in. Hello, Sundarji. Pleased to meet
Taxi
you.
driver Surinder Singh is one of around 40,000 cabbies in Mumbai.
Off we go. Seatbelt on?
No.
No. I'm going to put it on. How long do you think it's going to take us?
At least in this peak hours, it takes sometimes 1 hour, sometimes it takes 2 hours also. And during monsoon, it's very bad to us here.
So, could be 1 hour, could be 2 hours.
Yeah.
In monsoon, how long?
In monsoon, it can take 3 hours, 4 hours, because Bombay gets flooded.
3 or 4 hours?
Oh, yeah, we have to wait patiently.
This journey would take 20 minutes on the train, which is why more than half of Mumbai's commuters travel by rail. This gridlock traffic is the result of just 8% of them taking to the roads, which aren't in great nick.
Is this a new road?
Yeah, this is a new road. See this condition.
This is the worst new road ever.
See, this is a new road.
Sack the road builders.
Yeah, see, this is the condition of the road. This is paver blocks.
This is not even flat.
Yeah, they've not leveled it properly. So
Not levelled it. I mean, really, my mum could have done a better job.
The government has spent £149 million over the last 8 years trying to improve the roads to cope with the increase in traffic. But Surinder's not impressed.
with the infrastructure, they've not planned properly. They should first plan the infrastructure, the roads, the bridges. Always we have problems, even after so much changes have come. But the roads are the same. So that's why you have problem. The congestion is there.
Feels like someone needs to plan it.
Yeah, plan it properly.
What would you do if you were the king of Bombay?
If I would have been there first, there's no roads were there. I would have widened the roads first and build new bridges, new flyovers.
But they're doing those things, aren't they? Slowly?
Very slow. It's very slow. Very slow.
Not fast enough for a cab driver.
No.
There are also huge problems with road safety. In 2013, there were 23,500 road accidents in Greater Mumbai and nearly 500 deaths. That's almost 4 times as many as in London.
So where are we now?
This is called Dadar.
Dadar. And is this halfway?
It's a halfway.
We've been going over half an hour. Our average speed is about 10 kilometres per hour, which compares badly even to central London, where it's closer to 15. But travelling by road is giving me a brilliant view of the evolving landscape of Mumbai.
So this used to be the textile area?
Yeah, this is
lots
textile.
of mills?
Yeah, lots of mills. Run by the British.
And now those mills have disappeared, have
Yeah,
they?
they have all disappeared. Only you can find the chimneys there.
Dadar used to be an industrial area packed with cotton mills. But today, like so much of Mumbai, it's being redeveloped to create offices and homes for the rich.
The multi-story apartment is coming now.
Oh, look at that. How much would it cost to live here? If I wanted to buy a 2-bedroom flat in this developed suburb, in one of these nice apartments, that looks pretty swish to me, that big high-rise.
More than 5 crores.
£500,000?
Yes, 500,000 pounds, yeah.
£500,000?
Million pounds.
Who can afford that here?
People are there, business people are buying, the politicians are buying.
Politicians, business people.
Some investors are there.
And how do you feel about these amazing flats that you can't afford?
Actually, we can't think about that because we cannot afford, no, we can't think about that money. We're not going to make that much money in our life. It's not possible for us.
The average wage in Mumbai is just over £1,000 a year. But it's also home to 30 billionaires.
If you've got money in Bombay, you've got mega money.
Mega money.
Some people have mega money.
Mega money, minted money, like you
They're
don't-
minted.
Yeah, they're minted money. Yeah.
Bombay is changing
Yeah,
under our noses. And there we go, a Range Rover. And to buy a Range Rover or a BMW, in fact, any imported car, costs, it's not the same as in the UK because here the import duty is so high that it would cost you basically double what it costs us.
We're now just over 8 kilometres from our starting point, Kurla.
We have been in the car for over an hour.
1 hour.
So how long is it going to take us?
It won't take at least half an hour. Suppose
Give me the bad news. Don't worry. You don't have to sugarcoat it, Sir in the G. I'm in this now.
Yeah.
Tell me really, how long do you think it could take?
It will take at least 30 minutes to 40 minutes to go to CST. Sometimes it can take more also. 45 minutes. Just at this time, no? We can't say anything about the traffic.
30 or 40 or 50. Indian time.
Indian time.
Indian time is fluid.
Travelling by road here is just as frustrating as in any other megacity. But with another 2,000 new vehicles registered each week, it's only going to get worse here in Mumbai.
So we are here is CST now.
Oof, that's quite some journey. I recognise this beautiful building. OK, sir, if you could stop the meter.
Yes, sir.
269 rupees, which is £2.69. It took us an hour and 35 minutes, but we made it.
Yes, we made
Thank
it.
you. Bye-bye.
So that journey then cost £2.69 in the taxi, but the same journey would have cost 10p on the train. So
Yeah.
it feels like a bit of a no-brainer. I'd get the train.
You'd think, but there are a lot of people in this city of 17 million who have a lot of money, and that's the middle classes, and this middle class is growing all over India, and they can quite easily afford to use a taxi, and they do, because it's just more comfortable.
And let me tell you, comfort is in short supply here on rush hour trains. This is me tussling to get on board one morning.
It's a fight! What is happening? I'm on! We made it!
It was the same story for me.
Stick with me. Ow, ow! I think the one thing I'm not worried about is falling over.
So I'm keen to see what a carriage looks like without quite so many people on board.
I didn't even realise there were seats until
Let's
just
hop
now.
on. Well, this is a men's-only carriage.
Right.
Women are allowed on, they just
Right.
choose not to travel.
So you generally wouldn't go on this, but you're
Yeah,
on
but
it
I'm
now.
on.
You're
I'm
on now.
Lots of places to hold on.
Hundreds of places. Hold on.
You'd need to.
The fans, I have to say, really saved me when I was squashed in here. It
Fans
was
are
great.
actually standing by the door.
Yeah.
Or, if you sit, let's have a seat.
Okay.
The best seat in the house is that one right there.
Oh, so right next to the window
Yes,
or there? Yeah.
where this gentleman here is.
He's got the right seat.
You've got the right seat, sir. Right by the window, nice and comfortable. When I took a train once, I was sitting there and a woman was eyeballing me to say, when you get off, I'm getting on, because that's the tactics they use to bag themselves
So she
seats.
wasn't trying to get your seat, it was just when
No.
you left she
Yeah.
wanted to sit there, right? Because that was the thing when I was squashed, I was sort of standing about there, absolutely squashed in. The atmosphere around me was really friendly. Everyone was grinning and saying hello and waving. It was really nice, you know, even though you were crunched together. And I just thought if that same situation happened on a commuter train in England, there'd be a lot of passive-aggressive tutting. People would be shaking their copies of the Telegraph and, you know, move down the carriage, you know. Whereas here it seemed incredibly friendly.
Well, things can get extreme here, and they did in January 2015. It was the first day back to work, and you could say there was a major problem in the control room. They had an electrical issue, and there were severe delays, which meant that the trains came to a standstill.
Shortly after 7 a.m. Friday morning, train services from CST to Diva in suburban Mumbai was stalled due to a technical snag, leaving lakhs of office-goers stranded for more than 5 hours.
Now, 16,000 people rioted in the suburb of Diva. They took out to the streets, they blocked the tracks, they injured a driver, and they damaged 10 trains. So it shows you, when things go wrong here, Indians can get very angry indeed.
Those riots were very unusual, but perhaps because of that, they certainly were big news around here. Many people took them to be symptomatic of a more general frustration with how the railways sometimes worked. Now, the man who, until recently, was in charge of dealing with that frustration is the former divisional railway manager, Mr. Nigam. Thanks for joining us. You used to be in charge of this place till early 2015. What was it like putting up with occasionally quite angry commuters?
You know, if you have to run 2,000 trains every day and you carry more than 4 million passengers every day, it's a tough ask. Mumbaikars, our commuters, are very emotionally attached to the suburban trains. I mean, they relate to its performance and its activities in a very emotional manner. You know? So there are chances of an emotional outburst.
But if I were you, I'd get really annoyed because most of the time the train works really well and the commuters get to work. And then when it doesn't, they all go, oh, they blame you. They never thank you when times are good, do they?
No, it is, you know, I mean, whoever is in the service sector, you know, it is the customer who's the king. Yeah. And whatever he says, you know, you have to take it, you know, to a logical conclusion. And that's what we are there for, you know.
When you were the boss here, what were the main complaints that would land on your desk?
You know, I mean, first of all, is relating to the overcrowding. You know, overcrowding is a very serious issue because, especially at intermediate stations, it's very difficult to get into the trains. You know, for that, we need to run longer trains. There's also an issue of modernization of the network. You know, people would like more modern amenities. They would like to see escalators at stations. They would like to have better ticket vending machines. They would like to have better trains. You know. They would like to have air conditioning in the trains. And the third issue is with regard to disruptions. You know, they would not tolerate any disruptions. I mean, I find that a Mumbaiker, an average Mumbaiker, he's never satisfied with the service that we offer. But when he goes and leaves the city, and you know, when he's gone to meet a relative to another city, you know, he would praise the system no end.
Yeah. I think it sounds like we commuters are the same everywhere in the world.
You know, railway jobs world over, which are dealing with operations, you know, because railway operations are 24-hour exercise, are, you know, very engaging jobs. It is said that, you know, you can't ride the tiger for too long. But, you know, when you are over here, you have to shoulder the responsibility because suburban network is the lifeline of the city. There are 4 billion passengers who look up to you for your performance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nigam. Now, this place can feel, I'm sure you would agree with this, insatiable, unstoppable at times, but there are 3 hours every night when the trains fall silent. They're still. And we had a look around the station during those magical nighttime hours.
It's 10 p.m. And the station is winding down for the day. The suburban platforms are quiet. But in the control room, it's business as usual. There are still 8 long-distance services to send on their way. The pressure is on for the platform staff. Porters hurry fresh fish and other local produce onto the trains, just in time for their departure slots. Worth £6 million to the local economy, it's essential that these goods are on sale at markets across the country by morning. Once the last intercity service leaves the station at 11:45, the focus in the control room turns to the suburban platforms.
7220.
Midnight strikes, and the city's last travellers are heading for the last trains home. The final service leaves at 12:45.
Last suburban local, and you're ready to depart from the CST.
There won't be another until 4 a.m. But once the passenger trains have departed, the control room has just 3 hours to do the overnight housekeeping. This is their only window for fixing anything that's gone wrong today, to ensure that tomorrow will run smoothly. Safety workers are given permission to move onto the empty tracks to do repairs. Other trains are repositioned and shunted into place.
ये ट्रेन जब गाड़ी आती है या ट्रेन इंजन आता है हम लोग को ग्रीन बत्ती बता के आगे लेता है.
At 2:20, one rather unusual train is given permission to run. The Muck Special is used to remove 10,000 tonnes of building waste and household refuse that threaten to block the sewers by the railway tracks. Picked and packed during the day, the workers, called muck pickers, return at night to load 3,000 bags of waste onto this train. This is back-breaking work for pay of £2.50 a day. If left to build up, this rubbish would block the drains, and when the monsoon rains arrive, this would mean instant flooding, cancelled trains, and disaster on the lines. Overnight maintenance completed, the controllers gear up for the start of the morning shift. Trains are waiting, the tracks are clear, and the drivers head to their services. The all clear is given for the 4 a.m. departure. And the first train of today's 1,500 services sets off. Another day in Mumbai on the world's busiest railway begins.
This station is such an important part of downtown, noisy Mumbai. It has a crucial place in the heart of Mumbaikars.
But it is like all these complex systems. I mean, the more you understand how all the intricate parts work together, the more you begin to really appreciate it. And I think it's amazing that they get so many people on so many trains every day. But admittedly, if you're on one of the trains that's stuck and not going anywhere, you probably end up being a bit moody.
But I think that is the point, because there are big problems here. And the passengers feel like they're on edge. They are crushed to bits every morning and every evening, and they all know that even a small problem can lead to massive delays. It just feels like there isn't any wiggle room in the system. There's no contingency.
I think it's like an intense relationship filled with love and hate. They love it when it works, they hate it when it doesn't.
Tonight, we've immersed you in the extraordinary daily life of this station. Next time, in our final visit, I see what the future holds for this megacity's rail network. Air-conditioned, spacious. I don't get nutted every time I move. Forget leaves. Try floods on the line. We find out how they keep trains running through the monsoon. And I meet one of the heroes of the 2008 terror attack.
लेकिन एक मन में समाधान के मेरे वजह से यानी मेरे अनाउंसमेंट की वजह से काफी पब्लिक बाहर की तरफ चले गए और पूरा प्लेटफॉर्म खाली हो गया था.
Anita goes out on the line with the teams keeping the network safe.
Oh, we're on the move now. For a minute I forgot I was in the middle of 2 live railway lines.
And we reflect on the affection Mumbaiakars have for their railway.
Bombay is whatever it is because of its beautiful railway lines. Railways are the lifeline of Mumbai.
That's all still to come. Thanks for joining us here in Mumbai. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We've got a one-off special of the groundbreaking sketch show Goodness Gracious Me here on BBC Two next. Rust pins all his hopes on becoming an actor next in the BBC Three comedy Top Coppers. And about to start over on BBC Four, Sean Connery and Michael Caine star in the colourful historic epic The Man Who Would Be King.